Hello, this is Alexei, and in this video we will discuss topics about open source licenses. Why should you care about open source licenses? Maybe you have heard or used guide from GitHub like this one, opensource.guide, when you can read about how to contribute to open source project, find users for your project, the legal side of open source, where described why open source license is appropriate for your project. Or like this one, choosealicense.com, where you can choose the best license based on your open source project. And many other tools and guides. But there needs to be more information regarding the compatibility of licenses and how different licenses affect contributions or third-party apps where they are used. So let's consider this and other tools. Developers do not often pay attention to licenses when using various open source projects. We can often use part of project or functions for our applications and programs without thinking about how it might affect the future. Do you need to keep the copyright? What are requirements and obligations of different licenses? In this video, I want to highlight the issue of choosing licenses for the project and the specs of using project with different type of licenses. Here and below, the project refers to an open source project and a repository. I have been developing platforms for open source project exchange, contributed in open source projects, so I can share with you my own experience. Disclaimer: information in this guide should not be considered legal advice. First, you need to know that license terms are enforceable copyright conditions under federal copyright law and enforceable under state contract law. How do we perceive information that a project is an open source? It is a project with one or more open source licenses. Open source license list you can find by this link. A license for open source project is a legal contract that regulates the relationship between one or more authors and the user. It includes the following information: description of the term of use of the project or code, including usage in commercial programs. Definition of what can and cannot be done with the software components, the obligation and the features of usage. Regulation of the responsibility of the authors and contributors to the project. So, if you start from the end, we have ready-for-use project or proprietary software that use open source licenses. But you check the license and find license issues, license conflict, or use project without a license. What problem can affect this? First, you need to replace and to redevelop a part of source code. Negative press coverage for non-compliance. Loss of reputation with open source community and customers. Change the license of your derived work. Be able to disclose corresponding source code by request. License can be divided into copyleft, like GPL, Mozilla Public License, Eclipse, Microsoft Public License, etc. And permissive, like Apache, MIT, BSD, etc. Copyleft can also be divided into weak and strong. Strong include GNU, Affera General Public License. Weak, for example, Eclipse, GNU Lesser General Public License. For weak copyleft license, it is permissible to compile via dynamic linking weak copyleft software with proprietary software without requiring your proprietary software to be licensed under the weak copyleft license. Most open source licenses contain specific obligations concerning information and documentation. For example, many licenses require that the respective license text to be delivered with the software when it's distributed. The following examples show how two companies retain the copyright notice from the original authors. This screenshot from the Syskani Connect client, and you can see that copyright is on this page. On this slide you can see a screenshot from mobile app The mobile app has a separate menu item license that contains license text with related copyright notes. Let's consider popular open source license in next video.